Hello, and welcome to Read and Learn English. I am very happy that you are here, ready to start a new and exciting journey to learn English in a way that is different, and maybe a little surprising. This book, How to Learn English in Your Sleep, will show you how your brain can keep learning even when your eyes are closed and your body is resting. Imagine waking up each morning with a little more English in your mind, growing quietly while you sleep. This is the amazing idea we will explore together. Learning English is not always easy. Many people feel tired after long days of studying, and sometimes it is hard to find time to practice speaking or listening. What if there was a way to help your brain learn without extra effort during the day? What if your nighttime rest could also be a time to improve your English? This book will introduce you to the concept of sleep learning, a fascinating and growing field that uses the power of your brain during sleep to support your language learning. On my YouTube channel, Read and Learn English, I always try to share useful and practical ways to help you understand and speak English better. I believe learning should be fun, simple, and part of your everyday life. This book continues that idea by offering you a step-by-step guide to using your sleep time to help your English skills grow. You will learn what sleep learning is, how it works, and how to use it well. You will find tips, real science, and easy routines you can follow. In this book, you will read about the stages of sleep and what your brain does while you rest. You will discover real experiments and research that show the possibilities and the limits of sleep learning. You will find out which types of English are best to listen to while sleeping, and how to prepare your brain for this special kind of learning. Most importantly, you will get a practical plan you can try, with advice on how to avoid common mistakes and how to combine sleep learning with active speaking practice. Sleep learning is not magic, and it is not a way to become fluent overnight. But it is a smart and gentle tool that can help you build confidence and improve your English little by little. Like planting seeds in a garden, you give your brain the chance to grow new words, sounds, and ideas quietly during your rest. With patience and care, these seeds can blossom into better listening, speaking, and understanding skills. Whether you are a beginner or someone who has studied English for years, this book can help you use your time and energy more wisely. It can make your nights a helpful part of your language learning journey. And as you practice the tips and routines in this book, you will feel more motivated and encouraged to keep moving forward. Thank you for choosing to learn with Read and Learn English. I am excited to be part of your journey. Let's explore together how you can make your sleep a secret tool to improve your English. Your journey starts now, with open eyes and a curious mind, ready to discover the power of learning while you sleep. Welcome to your English Night Garden. Chapter 1. The Strange Idea, Learning While You Sleep. Have you ever wished you could close your eyes at night and wake up knowing more English? Imagine falling asleep and, while your body rests, your brain quietly absorbs new words, phrases, or even whole conversations. It sounds like something from a science fiction movie. Yet, the idea of learning while you sleep has fascinated people for many years. It may seem strange at first, even unbelievable, but the truth is, the idea is not new. People have been curious about sleep learning for over a century. While the science is still developing, the question remains, can we really use our sleep time to learn something new? The concept of sleep learning, also called hypnopedia, goes back to the early 1900s. Back then, some scientists believed that the brain never truly shuts down during sleep. If it is still working, they thought, maybe it can continue to receive and remember information. These early experiments weren't always successful, and some of them were quite strange. In fact, for many years, most scientists thought sleep learning was nothing more than a dream, a fun idea, but not something that really worked. In the 1950s, sleep learning even became a popular topic in movies and books, often showing people waking up fluent in a new language after one night of audio lessons. These stories were exciting but unrealistic. Still, they planted a seed of curiosity in the minds of many. Why has this idea captured so much attention? One reason is time. Learning a new language takes many hours of study and practice. People are always looking for ways to learn faster or more easily. So the thought of learning while you sleep, using time that is usually lost, is very appealing. After all, we spend about 1/3 of our lives sleeping. If that time could be used for learning, it would be like discovering hidden hours in the day. It's a dream that promises more knowledge without extra effort. Another reason people are drawn to sleep learning is the power of the human brain. We already know that sleep is important for memory. When you learn something during the day, your brain reviews and organizes the information while you sleep. This process helps you remember better the next day. So it makes sense to wonder, what if we gave the brain more information to work with during sleep? Could it absorb new knowledge more effectively? These questions have led modern scientists to look deeper into what the brain actually does during sleep, and the results are both fascinating and surprising. Still, it's important to know that sleep learning doesn't work like magic. You won't go to bed not knowing English and wake up speaking it fluently. That's not how the brain works. But what scientists are finding is that certain types of learning might be possible during sleep, especially things like vocabulary or short phrases. This doesn't mean sleep will replace your study time, but it might support and strengthen what you learn during the day. In other words, sleep learning could become a powerful tool, not a replacement, but a helper in your learning journey. In many ways, the idea of sleep learning challenges how we think about education. We usually imagine learning as something active, reading a book, listening to a teacher, or practicing speaking. Sleep learning, by contrast, is passive. You are not aware of it. You are not trying to learn. This makes some people uncomfortable or even skeptical. Can you really learn without effort? Most of us were taught that success only comes from hard work and focus. That's why sleep learning still seems strange to many people. It goes against our usual beliefs about how learning happens. But strange ideas often lead to new discoveries. Think about the airplane. At one time, the idea of flying was considered impossible. People said, if humans were meant to fly, they would have wings. Yet today, flying is a normal part of life. The same may be true for sleep learning. Right now, it still feels like a strange dream. But as we learn more about the brain and how sleep works, it may become part of our everyday learning tools. What seems strange today might be normal tomorrow. Today, Many language learners are already experimenting with sleep learning. They play English audio while they sleep, words, sentences, or even whole conversations. They report that the words sound more familiar the next day. Some say they remember better or feel more confident. These are not scientific results, but they show how interested people are in this method. Whether it fully works or not, it shows one important thing. Learners are creative and always looking for ways to improve. So, is sleep learning real? Can it help you learn English while you rest? The answer is not simple. There is no magic formula, and it will not replace your daytime learning. But as we will see in the next chapters, the brain is more active during sleep than most people think. With the right methods and realistic expectations, sleep learning could become part of a smart and balanced study routine. In this book, we will explore how this strange idea, learning while you sleep, is not just a fantasy. We will look at real science, practical tips, and thoughtful advice to help you understand how your brain works during sleep and how you might use that time more wisely. You may never become fluent overnight, but you might be surprised at how much your sleeping brain can help you on your English learning journey. Chapter 2. What happens to the brain during sleep? When we close our eyes and drift off to sleep, it may feel like everything shuts down. Our bodies lie still, the world fades away, and we enter a quiet, peaceful state. But inside our heads, something amazing is happening. While we rest, our brains become incredibly active. In fact, in some stages of sleep, the brain is almost as busy as when we are awake. This chapter explores what happens inside the brain during sleep, why those changes are important, and how they might help us learn better, even while we sleep. Sleep is not just one long, deep rest. It's made up of different stages, and each stage plays a unique role. Scientists usually divide sleep into two main types: REM sleep, rapid eye movement, and non-REM sleep. Non-REM sleep has 3 stages, from light sleep to deep sleep. Together, these stages make up a sleep cycle that repeats every 90 minutes throughout the night. Let's look at the stages more closely. The first stage is very light. You're just beginning to fall asleep, and it's easy to wake up. The second stage is a bit deeper. Your body temperature drops, your heart rate slows, and your brain starts to create special waves. These brain waves are important because they show that your mind is starting to move into rest mode. In the third stage, deep sleep, your brain makes slow, powerful waves. This is the time when your body repairs itself and your brain clears out useless information. It's like cleaning up the desk after a busy day. Then comes REM sleep, which is very different. In this stage, your eyes move quickly under your eyelids, and your brain becomes much more active again. REM sleep is when we usually dream. But dreams are not the only thing happening. Your brain is sorting, organizing, and strengthening memories. It looks at what you learned during the day and decides what to keep and what to forget. This is very important for learning. Without REM sleep, it's much harder to remember new information. Scientists call this process memory consolidation. It means turning short-term memories, things you just learned, into long-term knowledge you can use later. If you learned a new English word in the afternoon, your brain will review it during the night. If it thinks the word is useful, it will move it into deeper memory. This is why a good night's sleep is so important after studying. Sleep is like a second study session, one where the brain does all the work without you even trying. But how does the brain know what to remember? This is a big question in neuroscience. One idea is that the brain pays attention to what you focus on during the day. If you hear a word many times or try hard to understand it, your brain marks it as important. Then, during sleep, it brings that memory back and strengthens it. The more often this happens, the more likely you are to remember it in the future. That's why repeating things and reviewing before bed can be helpful. You are giving your brain a clear signal. This matters. Recent research has shown even more exciting things. Some studies found that if you hear words during certain stages of sleep, especially light sleep or early REM, your brain may react to them. It won't fully wake up, but it might listen and connect the sound to earlier memories. This is the basic idea behind sleep learning. The brain is not completely closed during sleep. In some moments, it may still hear and process information, especially if that information is familiar or important. Of course, the brain is not a tape recorder. It can't memorize full lessons or understand grammar rules while you sleep, but it can do small, helpful things, like reinforcing a word you already learned or making a sound more familiar. This is why sleep learning often focuses on vocabulary. It's easier for the brain to strengthen simple information than to build new complex ideas during rest. Another interesting part of sleep is how it helps the brain solve problems. Sometimes when you wake up, you suddenly understand something that confused you the day before. That's because the brain keeps working quietly while you rest. It connects ideas, builds links between memories, and sometimes finds solutions you didn't see before. For language learners, this might mean better understanding, clearer pronunciation, or more confidence with words you've been practicing. Sleep is also important for emotional health. When you're tired or stressed, it's harder to learn. Good sleep helps you stay calm, focused, and motivated. If you're serious about learning English or anything else, then sleep is not a waste of time. It's part of your study plan. Rest is not the opposite of work. It's the partner of learning. So, what happens to the brain during sleep? It rests, yes, but it also works in quiet, powerful ways. It protects your memories, clears away mental noise, and helps you grow. It's a time of healing, organizing, and even discovering. The more we learn about sleep, the more we understand how valuable it is for the learning process. In the next chapter, we'll look at real scientific experiments that tested sleep learning. Some of the results may surprise you, but for now, remember this. Your brain doesn't stop when you sleep. It shifts into a different kind of learning mode. Understanding this can help you use your sleep time more wisely and take your English learning to the next level. Chapter 3. The Science of Sleep Learning, Real Experiments. Now that we understand what happens to the brain during sleep, it's time to look at what science says about sleep learning. For many years, people have wondered if it's truly possible to learn something new while sleeping. Can the brain really pick up new information without us being awake? Is it just a dream? Or can science prove that sleep learning works? In this chapter, we'll explore real studies and experiments that have tested this idea. While the results are not magic, they are certainly interesting, and they give us clues on how sleep might support learning. especially when it comes to languages like English. One of the earliest known studies on sleep learning took place in the 1950s. Researchers played recordings of vocabulary words to sleeping participants and tested them when they woke up. At that time, the results were not very strong. People did not remember much. For many years, this led scientists to believe that sleep learning simply didn't work. The brain, they thought, was too shut off during sleep to process new information. But as science tools improved, so did our understanding of the brain. And with that came new studies and new hope. In the 2000s, scientists began using tools like EEG, electroencephalography, to measure brain waves during sleep. These machines could track exactly what the brain was doing at every stage of sleep. With this technology, researchers noticed something interesting. During certain light stages of sleep, the brain could still respond to sounds. Not only that, but the brain seemed to notice familiar words or sounds it had heard before. This opened a door to new experiments. One famous study was done in 2012 at the Weizmann Institute in Israel. In this experiment, researchers wanted to see if people could learn associations while sleeping. They played a sound, like a tone, followed by a smell, either pleasant, like flowers, or unpleasant, like rotten eggs. The participants were asleep, but their noses still reacted to the smell, and their brains reacted to the sounds. Later, when they heard the same tone while awake, their bodies responded as if they were expecting the same smell, even though they didn't remember hearing the tone during sleep. This showed that the brain can form simple connections while sleeping, even without conscious awareness. Another important study was done in 2014 in Switzerland. In this research, German-speaking participants studied Dutch vocabulary before bed. Then, while they were in deep sleep, half of the group heard the Dutch words again through headphones. The other half slept in silence. The next morning, the group that had listened to the words during sleep remembered more vocabulary than the silent group. The results suggested that hearing words during sleep can strengthen what you already studied before sleeping. This doesn't mean you can learn a whole new language in your sleep, but it does mean your brain might practice while you rest. A similar study was conducted in 2015, where participants learned word pairs, for example, house, maison, before going to sleep. While they slept, only some of the pairs were played quietly in the background. When the participants woke up, they remembered the played pairs much better than the silent ones. This again shows that the sleeping brain is not completely shut down. It's listening, reviewing, and reinforcing what it already knows. There's also research from France that looked into pronunciation. Participants who practiced certain sounds in a new language during the day were played recordings of those same sounds during REM sleep. After sleep, their pronunciation improved slightly. These improvements weren't huge, but they were real. It showed that the brain might also use sleep time to fine-tune how we speak and hear new words. What do all these studies tell us? First, they show that sleep learning is real, but limited. You cannot learn completely new ideas, grammar rules, or long conversations while you're asleep. Your brain won't understand complex lessons or deep topics without your attention. However, sleep is a great time to strengthen what you already started learning. If you studied something during the day, your brain can review and support that learning during rest, especially if you play the same material quietly while you sleep. Second, the timing matters. Most sleep learning happens during light sleep or slow wave sleep, not deep REM sleep. Playing audio at the wrong time could wake you up or have no effect. That's why some modern apps and tools try to track your sleep and only play audio during the best stage. It's not just about what you play, it's about when you play it. Finally, these experiments remind us of a bigger truth. Learning takes many steps. Sleep learning is just one small piece of the puzzle. You still need to study when you're awake, speak and practice with others, and keep your motivation strong. But adding sleep learning to your routine can be a smart way to get more from your time, especially if you're focused on learning vocabulary, sounds, or simple phrases. So, science has moved sleep learning from fantasy to possibility. It's not magic, but it is real. The brain is more powerful than we once believed. And if we understand how it works, even during rest, we can use that power to become better learners, even while we sleep. In the next chapter, we'll look more closely at what kinds of information are easier to learn in your sleep, and what kinds are not. This will help you focus your efforts and use your sleep learning time in the smartest way possible. Chapter 4. What you can and can't learn in your sleep. Learning while you sleep sounds almost magical. You lie in bed, press play on an English audio file, and wake up the next morning speaking better English. But is it really that simple? The truth is both fascinating and realistic. Yes, your brain can absorb some information during sleep. But no, it can't do everything. Just like there are limits to what you can learn in one day, there are limits to what your sleeping brain can handle. In this chapter, we will explore what types of learning are possible during sleep and which ones require your full attention while awake. First, let's talk about what you can learn in your sleep. One of the best examples is vocabulary. Several studies show that if you review English vocabulary before going to sleep and then listen to those same words during certain stages of sleep, your brain can remember them better. For example, if you study the word apple and its meaning in English during the day, and then hear it softly repeated during sleep, your memory for that word may become stronger. This works because your brain creates connections between sounds and meanings. These are called simple associations, and your brain can work on them even when you're not fully awake. Another thing your brain can do is strengthen what you already know. Sleep is a time when your brain organizes the information you learned during the day. It looks for patterns, connects ideas, and stores important memories. If you practiced English listening or speaking before sleep, your brain may replay parts of that experience while you rest. This helps you remember it more clearly the next day. In this way, sleep helps your learning become deeper and stronger, like watering a plant after planting the seed. Sleep learning also seems to work best with repetition and familiar sounds. If you've already studied a word or phrase, hearing it again during sleep can help reinforce your memory. It's like your brain is reviewing in the background. So, if you're learning how to say simple greetings or common phrases, hearing them again while sleeping may help you remember and use them more confidently. This is especially helpful for language learners who want to improve their pronunciation or fluency. Now let's talk about what you can't learn in your sleep. This part is just as important because many people expect too much from sleep learning and end up disappointed. The biggest limit is that your brain cannot learn completely new or complex ideas while you're asleep. For example, you cannot understand English grammar rules just by hearing them during sleep. Grammar involves understanding how parts of a sentence work together. It needs your full attention, examples, and practice. Your sleeping brain is not able to do that kind of thinking. Another thing you cannot learn in your sleep is problem solving. If you're trying to understand why a sentence uses the past perfect, or how to form a question in the present continuous, your brain needs you to be awake and thinking. These skills involve logic and decision-making, which do not happen during sleep. You may dream, but dreaming is not the same as reasoning or understanding. You also cannot learn motor skills while sleeping. That means you can't learn to write better, type faster, or speak clearly just by listening during sleep. These skills need movement, correction, and muscle memory. For example, learning how to pronounce they in English requires practice with your mouth and tongue. Sleep can help you remember what you practiced earlier, but it won't create that physical skill by itself. Another limit is learning something completely new during sleep. If you hear words from a language you've never studied, your brain will hear the sounds, but it won't understand or remember much. Sleep learning is not a good way to start learning. It is much more useful for reviewing and reinforcing what you already studied while awake. It's like building a house. Sleep can help paint the walls and make the house stronger, but it cannot lay the foundation on its own. It's also important to understand that too much information can be harmful. Playing long, complicated lessons while you sleep might not help at all. In fact, it could interrupt your rest. Sleep learning works best when the input is short, clear, and gentle, like short vocabulary lists, slow speech, or relaxing English phrases. Your brain can't handle a full lesson or story while it's trying to rest. Keeping it simple is the key. So, to summarize, here is what your brain can learn during sleep. Vocabulary you have already studied. Simple word and sound associations. Familiar phrases and pronunciation. Emotional or motivational phrases. Strengthening daytime learning. And here is what your brain can't learn during sleep. New and complex grammar rules. Problem solving or decision making. Physical or speaking skills that need practice. Completely new information you haven't seen before. Large or complicated lessons. Knowing these things can help you use sleep learning in a smart way. It is not a magic trick, but it is a real tool. If you use it with realistic expectations, it can support your language learning journey. Think of it as a helper, not a teacher. Learn during the day, then review gently during sleep. Together, this process makes learning more natural and more effective. In the next chapter, we will learn how to prepare your brain before going to bed. What you do before sleep matters just as much as what you listen to during sleep. A calm mind, a simple routine, and the right materials can make your sleep learning even more powerful. Chapter 5. How to prepare your brain before sleeping. Sleep learning can be powerful, but it doesn't work by magic. You can't just press play on an English audio and expect your brain to remember everything. The truth is, what you do before you sleep is just as important as what you listen to while you sleep. Preparing your brain for sleep learning is like preparing soil before planting seeds. If the soil is dry and full of rocks, seeds won't grow. But if it's soft, rich, and ready, even small seeds can take root and bloom. In the same way, your brain needs a calm, focused environment to make the most of sleep learning. Let's explore some simple and effective ways to prepare your brain before sleeping. The first step is clearing your mind. Throughout the day, your brain is busy with thoughts, worries, plans, and emotions. If you go to bed full of stress, it's hard for your brain to focus on learning. That's why relaxing your mind is so important. Try a short breathing exercise before bed. Sit quietly, close your eyes, and take slow, deep breaths. Inhale for 4 seconds, hold for 4, and exhale for 4. Repeat this for a few minutes. This signals your brain to slow down. It tells your body it's time to rest. A calm mind is more open to new information, even during sleep. Next, create a quiet, comfortable sleep environment. Turn off bright lights and noisy devices. Keep your room cool and dark if possible. Avoid using your phone too much right before bed, especially for scrolling or watching fast videos. The bright light and fast images confuse your brain and make it harder to relax. Instead, choose a quiet activity like reading a short English paragraph, writing a journal entry, or reviewing flashcards. This gentle review reminds your brain, "This is what I want to remember tonight." Think of it like planting your learning seed right before bed. One powerful trick is to do a short pre-sleep review. Just 5 to 10 minutes of focused study can make a big difference. You can listen to a short vocabulary list, read a few English phrases out loud, or go over your flashcards. Try to choose words or expressions that are meaningful to you. Maybe phrases you'll use the next day, or words you've struggled with. Keep it short and simple. The goal is not to learn something new, but to remind your brain what's important. This review sets the stage for the night's sleep learning. Also, pay attention to what you think and say before sleep. If you say, "I can't learn English, it's too hard," your brain hears that message. But if you say, "I'm getting better every day," your brain hears that too. Your thoughts create your mindset. A positive thought before sleep is like a soft voice guiding your brain during the night. Even just saying, "Tonight I will remember what I learned," can help. It's not magic, but it builds belief and focus, which are powerful tools for learning. Another helpful habit is to listen to relaxing English audio before sleep, even before you lie down. This could be a slow English story, a gentle podcast, or a motivational message in English. Choose something with a calm voice, soft background music, and clear pronunciation. Avoid fast conversations, loud music, or difficult grammar lessons. Let the sounds guide you into a peaceful state. Your brain begins to absorb the rhythm of English, even if you don't understand every word. Over time, your ear becomes more familiar with the sounds of English, which improves your listening and speaking. It's also important to establish a routine. Going to bed at the same time each night helps your body and brain get into a natural rhythm. When your sleep is regular, your brain becomes more efficient at memory processing. If your bedtime is always changing, your brain doesn't know when it's time to rest and learn. Try to create a short bedtime ritual that includes English, even in a small way. For example, brushing your teeth while listening to English audio, or saying one English sentence in the mirror before bed. Avoid heavy meals, caffeine, or too much sugar before sleeping. These can make your body restless, which makes your brain too active to focus on memory. Also, don't try to learn too much at once. Sleep learning is not about quantity. It's about gentle repetition. Choose just a few phrases or vocabulary words each night. Repeat them out loud before bed, then play them softly while you sleep. Over time, this small effort builds up in your brain like water filling a cup. Lastly, trust the process. Learning takes time, and sleep learning is no different. You may not notice results right away. But if you follow a peaceful bedtime routine, review your English gently, and listen with purpose, your brain will respond. Each night is a new chance to grow. You are not just learning while you sleep. You are building a daily habit of care, focus, and belief in yourself. Preparing your brain before sleeping is not difficult. It just takes a few quiet minutes and the right mindset. And those few minutes can make your night more restful and your English learning more effective. Sleep becomes more than rest. It becomes part of your learning journey. In the next chapter, we'll explore exactly what to listen to while sleeping. Choosing the right audio materials can make a big difference in your results. Let's find out how to create a perfect night playlist for your English dreams. Chapter 6. What to listen to while sleeping. Audio guide. Now that your brain is ready for sleep learning, the next important step is choosing what to listen to while you sleep. Not all audio is helpful, and some can even interrupt your rest. The right kind of audio can gently support your learning without waking you up or confusing your mind. In this chapter, we will explore what kinds of English materials are best for sleep learning, how to format them, and how to create the perfect listening conditions for your night routine. Let's start with the most important rule. Keep it simple. Your brain is not fully awake during sleep, so it can't handle complex grammar, fast conversations, or difficult lessons. Instead, choose audio that repeats basic words, short phrases, or simple sentences. For example, English vocabulary lists with clear pronunciation, beginner dialogues, or positive affirmations in English are ideal. These short, repeated messages are easier for the sleeping brain to absorb. You don't need something new every night. In fact, repeating the same content for several nights in a row is better for memory. Vocabulary audio is one of the best types of content for sleep learning. You can find many recordings online that list English words followed by their meanings or translations. For example, the voice might say, apple, manzana, then repeat it slowly. These short pairs help your brain form connections between English and your native language. Try to pick topics that are useful for you: food, travel, common verbs, or daily routines. The more relevant the vocabulary, the easier it is for your brain to store it. Short dialogues are another helpful option. These are small conversations like, "Hello, how are you?" "I'm good, thank you." "And you?" "I'm fine too." These simple, friendly exchanges help you get used to real English speech patterns. Make sure the voices speak slowly and clearly. Avoid dialogues with strong accents or fast, informal speech. Your goal is not to understand everything consciously. It's to let the sound of English become familiar while you rest. Positive affirmations in English can also be powerful during sleep. These are short, encouraging sentences like, "I enjoy learning English." "My English is getting better every day." I feel confident when I speak. These messages help build a positive mindset. Even if you don't fully hear them, your brain receives the tone and rhythm. This can help you wake up with more motivation and less fear of making mistakes. Now, let's talk about format. The best sleep audio should be slow, repetitive, and soft. It should not have loud music, sound effects, or sudden changes in volume. Look for recordings with a calm, even voice, male or female, whichever feels more relaxing to you. Background music is okay if it's soft and soothing, like gentle piano or nature sounds. Avoid content that is emotional, dramatic, or full of action. Your brain needs peace, not excitement. It's also a good idea to limit the length of the audio. 1 or 2 hours is enough. You don't need to play it all night. After a few hours, your brain moves into deeper sleep stages where learning is less active. If you keep the audio short, you avoid disturbing your rest. You can use a timer or sleep mode on your device to stop playback after a set time. To get the best results, create a playlist with your favorite sleep learning audio. Start with vocabulary, then move to dialogues, then end with affirmations. You can use apps, YouTube, or MP3s, but make sure the sound is high quality and easy to understand. You can also record your own voice, saying important words or sentences. Listening to your own voice at night can be powerful. It makes learning feel more personal. Headphones versus speakers is a common question. Many people prefer small sleep headphones or sleep headbands with built-in speakers. These are comfortable and let you hear clearly without waking others. But if you don't like sleeping with something on your ears, you can use a small speaker near your bed. Just keep the volume low and steady. Loud sounds will wake you up or reduce the quality of your sleep. Finally, make your listening space comfortable. Turn off other noise in your room. Make sure your device won't vibrate, beep, or show bright lights. Put your phone on airplane mode to avoid messages and notifications. Let this be a quiet, focused time for your brain to absorb English gently and naturally. Remember, the goal of sleep learning is not to replace active study. It's to support your learning in a passive, relaxed way. By choosing the right audio and playing it in the right way, you help your brain build stronger connections to English while you rest. You may not notice big changes after one night, but over time, these small repeated sessions can make English feel more natural and familiar. In the next chapter, we will look at how to build a complete sleep learning routine. A step-by-step plan will help you use all this information in a clear, practical way. Let's turn your sleep into your secret learning time. Chapter 7. Real Sleep Learning Routine. A Sample Plan. By now you understand how sleep affects the brain, what kinds of information you can learn during sleep, and what to listen to at night. But how do you actually put this all together? In this chapter, we will build a simple, practical routine that you can follow every day. This routine will help you use your sleep time more effectively and turn it into a quiet, powerful tool for learning English. First, it's important to remember that sleep learning works best when it supports your regular English practice. This means you should still spend time during the day reading, speaking, or listening to English in an active way. Think of sleep learning as a helper, not the main tool, but a strong support. It helps your brain review and remember things you already studied. Let's look at a daily plan that starts in the evening and continues into the night. You don't need to follow every step perfectly. The goal is to create a habit that fits your life, is easy to repeat, and feels relaxing. Here's what a full sleep learning routine might look like. Step 1. Evening review, 20 to 30 minutes before bed. Before you sleep, take 15 to 20 minutes to review English material you want to remember. This could be a short list of vocabulary, a few grammar examples, or a small dialogue. Write them down, read them out loud, or listen to them once or twice. This step prepares your brain for what it will hear again while you sleep. It's like planting the seeds of learning before letting your brain water them during the night. Step 2. Prepare your environment. 10 minutes before bed. Make sure your bedroom is quiet, dark, and comfortable. Set your audio player, a phone, speaker, or sleep headphone, with the audio you plan to listen to. Choose a playlist with clear, slow English content, such as vocabulary pairs, simple phrases, or affirmations. Set a timer to play for about 1 to 2 hours. This way, your brain gets exposure to the material during the early part of sleep when it is most open to learning, but you won't be disturbed later during deep sleep. Step 3. Relax your body and mind, 5 minutes before bed. Sit or lie down and take a few deep breaths. Calm your thoughts. Think about the English words or phrases you reviewed earlier. Tell yourself something positive like, "I'm learning English every day, even while I sleep." This step isn't just about feeling good, it actually tells your brain what to focus on as it enters sleep. Step 4. Play your audio and sleep. Now press play and let the audio begin. Close your eyes and relax. You don't need to focus on understanding every word. Just let the sounds of English flow gently into your mind. If your audio is calm and well chosen, it will help you sleep and support memory at the same time. You may even dream in English or wake up with new words in your mind. That's a good sign. Step 5. Morning activation, 10 to 15 minutes after waking. When you wake up, spend a few minutes reviewing what you heard during the night. Look at your notes or listen again to the same audio, this time while fully awake. This morning review helps lock the information into your long-term memory. You are telling your brain, "Yes, this is important. Let's remember it." Here is a sample schedule you can follow. 9:30 p.m., start your evening review. Read or listen to your chosen English material. 9:50 p.m., prepare your sleep space, set the audio, and get comfortable. 10 p.m., begin sleep with audio playing softly in the background. 6:30 a.m., wake up, stretch, and spend 10 minutes reviewing the same material again. If you do this every night for a week or more, you will notice small changes. Words will feel more familiar. You might find it easier to say phrases you used to forget. Over time, this builds confidence and fluency. Of course, everyone's sleep pattern is different. If you go to bed earlier or later, that's okay. Just adjust the timing to fit your lifestyle. The key is to stay consistent. Repeating this process daily is more powerful than doing it perfectly once. Your brain loves patterns. When it knows what to expect, it works better. Here are a few extra tips to strengthen your routine. Choose a theme for each week, like food vocabulary or basic greetings, and repeat the same type of audio each night. Avoid caffeine, heavy meals, or screens before bed, as they can make it harder to fall asleep or concentrate on the audio. If you feel tired or stressed, don't skip the routine. Just do a shorter version. Even 5 minutes of review is helpful. Keep a small notebook near your bed. In the morning, write down any words or ideas you remember. This turns your learning into a habit you can see and track. Sleep learning is not magic, but when used correctly, it becomes a gentle, effective part of your language journey. You're not just using more hours in the day, you're giving your brain a peaceful space to grow. In the next chapter, we'll look at some common mistakes people make when trying sleep learning, so you can avoid them and stay on the right path. Chapter 8. Common mistakes in sleep learning. Sleep learning sounds like a dream come true. Who wouldn't want to learn English while resting? But like any method, it has its limits and its traps. Many people get excited about the idea and try it without knowing how it really works. As a result, they make mistakes that slow their progress or cause frustration. In this chapter, we'll look at the most common errors people make when using sleep learning, and how to avoid them so you can make the most of your nighttime study. The first big mistake is expecting fast or magical results. Some people think that after listening to English in their sleep for one night, they will wake up speaking fluently. Unfortunately, that's not how the brain works. Sleep learning is not a shortcut to skip practice. It supports what you learn while awake. It does not replace it. If you expect too much too soon, you might feel disappointed and quit before you see any real progress. Sleep learning is like watering a plant. It takes time, care, and patience. Another common mistake is playing audio all night long. At first, this may seem like a good idea. More hours should mean more learning, right? Not exactly. Playing audio during deep sleep can disturb your rest. Your brain needs quiet periods to recharge and clean itself. If you're hearing voices or music all night, it may lead to poor sleep quality, strange dreams, or even tiredness the next day. The best approach is to play audio for the first 1 to 2 hours of sleep only, especially during light sleep when the brain is more open to receiving sounds. A third mistake is using the wrong kind of audio. Not all English recordings are helpful for sleep learning. Some people try to listen to movies, fast conversations, or loud music. These can be too complex or distracting. Sleep learning works best with simple, clear, and slow audio. For example, use vocabulary lists, basic phrases, or gentle affirmations. The goal is to give your brain calm, understandable material that it can repeat and absorb. If the audio is too difficult, your brain may ignore it, or even get confused. Many learners also forget the importance of pre-sleep review. They press play and go to sleep without thinking about what they're hearing. But your brain remembers better when you first see or hear the information while awake. Reviewing the same material 10 to 20 minutes before bed tells your brain, this is important. Without this step, the sleep audio may feel unfamiliar or random, and learning becomes weaker. So don't skip your evening study. Even a few minutes of review can make a big difference. Another pitfall is changing the material too often. Some learners get bored quickly and switch to new content every night. But sleep learning relies on repetition. Your brain needs to hear the same words again and again to remember them well. Changing topics too soon breaks the learning cycle. A better method is to choose one topic per week, like common greetings, travel phrases, or food vocabulary, and use the same audio each night. This builds stronger memory and deeper understanding. Some people also use low-quality recordings. If the sound is too quiet, too loud, or unclear, your brain will have a hard time understanding it. Avoid using noisy background music or bad pronunciation. Choose high-quality English audio made for learners, especially those with slow, clear speech and pauses. You want your brain to catch each word gently, like soft rain falling on a sponge. A surprising but important mistake is ignoring the sleep environment. If your room is noisy, too hot, too bright, or uncomfortable, your sleep will suffer, and so will your learning. Good sleep is the foundation of good memory. Make your sleep space peaceful and cozy. Turn off bright lights, lower the temperature, and remove distractions. Use sleep-friendly headphones or a speaker that won't disturb your sleep position. Your body and brain both need comfort to learn well. Another issue is using sleep learning without any active practice during the day. If you only listen at night and never speak, read, or write English during the day, progress will be very slow. Your brain learns best when it sees the same words in different ways. So, even if you're busy, try to spend 15 to 30 minutes each day actively using English. The more you combine daytime learning with nighttime review, the stronger your results will be. Lastly, some people give up too early. Sleep learning takes time. You may not notice changes in a few days, but that doesn't mean it isn't working. Some effects are small and build slowly, like remembering words more easily or feeling more confident when speaking. Stay with the routine for at least 2 to 3 weeks. Keep track of new words you remember. You may be surprised at how much your brain can do while you rest. To sum up, sleep learning is powerful, but only if used wisely. Don't expect it to do all the work. Avoid overloading your brain. Use the right audio. Review before bed. Repeat material often. Take care of your sleep. Combine it with daily practice. And most of all, be patient. When done correctly, sleep learning can become a quiet and peaceful part of your English journey, one that helps you grow, even in your dreams. Chapter 9. Can it help you speak better? The real benefit. Many English learners dream of speaking smoothly and confidently. They want to find a method that makes learning easier and faster. Sleep learning sounds like a miracle. Imagine going to bed and waking up with better English. But can listening to English while you sleep really improve your speaking skills? In this chapter, we'll explore the true benefits of sleep learning, especially how it might help your speaking and pronunciation. To begin, it's important to understand one thing. Sleep learning alone will not suddenly make you fluent. It will not teach you how to form complex sentences or have deep conversations by itself. Speaking a language is an active skill. You need to move your mouth, practice sounds, and speak out loud to get better. However, sleep learning can still play a helpful role. It works best as a support tool, something that helps your brain become more familiar with English while you rest. One of the biggest ways sleep learning can help is with vocabulary recall. When you hear the same words and phrases again and again while sleeping, your brain gets used to the sound and meaning. This makes it easier to remember those words during the day. For example, if you often hear the phrase, "Can I help you?" while you sleep, your brain starts to recognize it as a common English expression. Later, when you're in a real conversation, it may come to your mind more quickly and naturally. Sleep learning also helps you recognize sentence patterns. Language is full of patterns, like how we ask questions, give directions, or talk about the past. When you listen to simple English sentences repeatedly at night, your brain begins to notice how the words are arranged. This can help you form similar sentences when speaking. You may not understand the grammar rules consciously, but your brain starts to develop a natural feel for how the language works. Another benefit is better listening and pronunciation awareness. Listening to clear, slow English while you sleep gives your brain a lot of exposure to correct sounds. Over time, you become more familiar with how words are pronounced. This doesn't mean your pronunciation will automatically improve, but it does give you a model to copy. Later, during your daytime practice, your ears are already trained to recognize the right sounds, so it's easier to repeat them correctly. Some researchers believe that sleep learning strengthens the link between sound and meaning. This means that when you hear a word like apple, your brain quickly connects the sound of the word to the image or idea of a real apple. This connection helps you respond faster when speaking. Instead of stopping to translate in your head, the word comes more automatically. It becomes a part of your thinking, not just something you memorized. However, sleep learning is not very effective for improving speaking fluency by itself. Fluency requires muscle memory, training your mouth, tongue, and lips to produce sounds quickly and clearly. Just listening, even for many hours, won't teach your muscles what to do. That's why you still need to practice speaking during the day. Sleep learning prepares your brain, but daytime practice prepares your mouth. Both parts are important. So, how can you combine sleep learning with speaking practice? A simple method is to focus on one topic at a time. For example, choose a group of phrases for daily life, like ordering food or asking for help. Listen to these phrases while you sleep, and then practice saying them during the day. Record yourself and compare your voice to the original audio. Repeat until it feels natural. You'll notice that your brain remembers the words more easily because you already heard them many times during sleep. It's also useful to repeat short dialogues or common questions in your sleep audio. These short exchanges train your brain to follow conversation patterns. When you hear them enough times, your brain begins to expect what comes next. This makes real conversations feel easier and less stressful. You'll know what to say because you've already heard it hundreds of times in your dreams. Some learners find it helpful to use shadowing techniques right before bed. Shadowing means listening to English and speaking at the same time, like an echo. Doing this for 10 to 15 minutes before sleep helps your brain lock in the sounds. Then, when you play the same audio during sleep, it reinforces what you just practiced. This creates a strong connection between the sounds you hear and the sounds you make. In the end, sleep learning is not a magic trick, but it is a powerful tool. It helps your brain feel more comfortable with English. It makes new words feel familiar. It gives you confidence because your mind is always learning, even while you rest. The real benefit is not instant fluency, but steady progress. Over time, you may find that your speaking becomes smoother, your words come faster, and your confidence grows quietly, night after night. So yes, sleep learning can help you speak better, but only if you also speak while you're awake. Think of it as silent practice that works in the background. It builds a strong foundation that supports your active learning. And when used wisely, it can turn your nights into a powerful part of your English journey. Chapter 10. Your English Night Garden. Final Thoughts. You have now traveled through a fascinating journey about learning English while you sleep. From the strange idea that it could even be possible, to the science behind it, and the practical ways you can use this method, you have learned many important facts. Sleep learning is not magic, but it is a powerful tool that can help your English grow quietly every night, like a garden growing in the dark. In this final chapter, we will reflect on what you have discovered and encourage you to use sleep learning in a smart and balanced way. First, remember that learning English while you sleep is not a quick fix. It is not a replacement for regular practice, but a helpful support. Just like a garden needs sunlight, water, and care, your English needs daily effort during the day. Sleep learning waters your brain quietly while you rest, but it cannot do all the work alone. The best results come when you combine daytime study, speaking, reading, and writing with peaceful nighttime listening. When both parts work together, your English will grow stronger and more natural. You also learned that sleep is a special time for your brain. During sleep, your brain processes memories and information, making connections between new and old knowledge. This means that the English you listen to before and during sleep can become easier to remember. But your brain needs the right kind of audio: simple, clear, slow, and repeated to absorb the language. Loud music, fast conversations, or complicated grammar do not work well at night. Think of your sleep as a quiet garden where gentle seeds can grow best. One of the most exciting things about sleep learning is how it can help with vocabulary and pronunciation. When you hear new words and phrases many times while resting, your brain becomes familiar with their sounds and meanings. This makes speaking easier because your brain recognizes these words faster when you need them. Your ears become trained to listen for the correct sounds, and your mouth can follow more naturally when you practice speaking during the day. Sleep learning creates a strong foundation for your English voice to grow. However, it is important to know the limits of sleep learning. It cannot teach you complicated grammar rules, problem-solving skills, or how to write essays. These need active study and practice while you are awake. Also, your speaking muscles need daily training. Just hearing English at night will not help you speak fluently if you never practice speaking aloud. Sleep learning works best as a quiet helper, a tool to make your brain more ready for English. You are the gardener who must do the main work. Many people give up on sleep learning too soon because they do not see quick results. But like a real garden, language learning takes time and patience. You may not notice changes after 1 or 2 nights. The growth happens slowly, day by day, night by night. If you continue with care and regular practice, your English will improve in small but steady steps. Remember to be kind to yourself, celebrate small wins, and trust the process. To create your own successful sleep learning garden, start with simple steps. Choose easy and clear audio that matches your level. Review the material for a few minutes before sleeping to tell your brain what is important. Play the audio softly for 1 or 2 hours after you fall asleep. Take care of your sleep environment so you rest well and your brain can work deeply. Combine this with daily practice where you speak, listen, read, and write in English. With this balanced approach, your night garden will bloom beautifully. Finally, be inspired by the idea that your brain never stops learning, even when you close your eyes. Sleep is not just rest, it is an opportunity for your mind to grow, to prepare, and to connect the pieces of your language journey. You are planting seeds each night that will blossom in your waking hours. This is the true power of sleep learning. So as you move forward in your English learning journey, remember your night garden, care for it with patience and gentle attention. Use sleep learning as your quiet helper, not your only teacher. Believe in yourself and the amazing ability of your brain. The path to fluency is long, but every night brings new growth. Soon you will find yourself speaking English with more ease and confidence, thanks to the silent work of your sleeping mind. Your English night garden is ready. Now, let it grow. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you found these tips about learning English while you sleep helpful and interesting. Remember, learning takes time, and sleep learning can be a great way to support your progress every day. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends who want to improve their English too. Don't forget to subscribe to Read and Learn English for more useful tips and lessons to help you speak English confidently. Sweet dreams and happy learning. See you in the next video.